I'm Clarke of Clarkey Contracting. I'm down on the docks to give you a demonstration of some basic electrical kiosk maintenance and some simple electrical testing. The standard small craft harbor power supply usually consists of an upland transformer, a main distribution panel, some distribution lines, and a few power kiosks down on the dock. Before we get started, we need to talk about safety. Power is deadly. It kills. Always when working on any component of the electrical system, ensure you have it switched off, even when just plugging in or out. When doing your electrical maintenance, you're going to need some good personal protective equipment. Some eyeglasses, some rubber gloves, and some rags. You'll also need some tools. A good grease gun, a little cover I've made up of electrical tape, some different adapters for the different amperages you're plugging into, a good multimeter, a circuit tester, and a good cleaner like this ship-to-shore PLID. A power kiosk is made up of three components: a breaker compartment, a receptacle compartment, and a light. I like to start my maintenance with the light. Starting at the light, I cover the photocell first. It's either a hardwired version or a twist lock version. You cover up the photocell, blocking out the light, and while you wait for it to turn on, clean up around it. Wipe away all the cobwebs and the other debris it's around. Now that the light's switched back on, remove your covering and wait for the light to go out. If it goes out, you know both the photocell and the bulb work. If it doesn't go out and you have the twist lock style, swap out your photocells, cover it and wait for it to go out again. If it doesn't go out, call your electrician. Onto the compartments. Make sure they're clearly labeled. They have good identification. For the handles, just simply spray a little grease in. Make sure everything turns smoothly and everything's nice and tight. To keep the doors operating freely, squeeze a little grease into the hinges and then wipe away the excess. Now we need to clean the receptacles. First thing, turn off all the power. You want all the power off to all the circuits. Then unplug all the vessels that are plugged in. Ensure your Harbour policies allow you to unplug any vessel at any time for routine maintenance. Now the power's off, I take some of my ship-to-shore PLID, spray a little bit on my male ends of my adapter, and plug it into the receptacle. Make sure it goes in all the way and twist to lock. Go back and forth a few times and in and out a couple of times. It acts as a good descaler of debris in there. Once you're done, simply wipe away the excess and move on to your other receptacles. When cleaning your receptacles, if you find one like this, make sure you have the breaker turned off and your electrician changes that immediately. I've finished my 20 and 30 amp receptacles, but this kiosk also has a 50 amp. The 50 amp's a little bit different. It has a ground all the way around the outside. So when you spray your ship-to-shore lubricant in your adapter, make sure you get a good coverage all around the outside. So when you put it in, it does a good job of descaling. Now the receptacles are all clean, we need to ensure that they work. Since the power is still off, take your circuit tester, put it in your adapter, and plug it into one of your circuits. Then turn on your corresponding breaker and read the light configuration to see what the power is reading. On this tester, the orange and red light indicate it's wired correctly. Looks like this one has a good reading. So turn your power off, remove, go on to the next one, switch your power on, and take its reading. Repeat this for all the receptacles in the cabinet. Some quick basic electrical on the 50 amp 240 volt plug. It has two live sides, a neutral, and a ground. When you're testing, between a live side and the ground should be 120 volts. Between the two live sides should be 240 volts. And between the neutral and the ground should register 0 volts. You can tell which is the live side because it has a kinked prong. So let's go check out this 50 amp. So now I'm back at the kiosk. I take my multimeter and turn it on to AC volts. And I take my electrical probes and stick them in the receptacle and check my readings. If any readings aren't accurate, have a qualified electrician change the plug right away. Now we've got good, clean, working power. I've plugged the vessels back in. I've turned them back on. We can start testing the vessels to see if they're leaking any power. To check for leakage, you need to have your electrician make you up a little adapter like this. It's basically just a cord with the outer jacket removed. We start, we take the vessel, turn off his breaker, remove the vessel from the receptacle, plug your adapter in. It just goes in line, plug back in, and turn the vessel back on. Now we take our multimeter and we turn it on to amps. We want to clamp each individual line. First, we clamp the load line and we take its reading. Always ensure the cord stays in the middle of the clamp. This one's reading 3.5. Now, we clamp the neutral line or the white line. This one's reading 3.5. In theory, the black line and the white line should be equal, as power going in should equal power going out. If the two lines have a difference, clamp your green line. That's your ground. If you get a reading on your ground, that means your vessel is feeding power back to the system and needs to be unplugged right away. If your load line and your neutral line don't equal, and there's not a reading on your ground line, you know your boat is leaking power and has to be unplugged, and that vessel needs to have their problem fixed right away. Power leakage can cause damage to harbor infrastructure or vessel equipment. By doing some basic routine maintenance and some simple electrical testing, you can help identify some potential problems. That concludes my demonstration on basic electrical kiosk maintenance. I'm Rob Clarke with Clarkey Contracting.